Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Counselor's Couch 101. I'm Jim Stump, and lately we've been looking into the depths of human communication. Now, Carl Jung, over 100 years ago, said there was such a thing as a universal unconsciousness. It's like where all the information of all people of all time is stored. It's sort of like if you have a computer system that has a cloud on it, you store all your information in a cloud, right? And it's kind of the idea is sort of like it doesn't exist anywhere, right? It's just floating somewhere in the ethers. I don't know what they do with the computer, but Carl Jung believed that that's the kind of thing that happens, that human beings communicate on a higher level. And once again, I keep thinking maybe the brain is like a radio transmitter. It sends out a signal, and everybody's sending out signals, and when we need information, if we tap into the right vibration, we can get that information down. Now, I don't know if any of that's true, but something is going on because there's a communication that takes place between human beings. And we've discussed this before, how some people can send messages over thousands of miles and it is received correctly. So something's going on. Universal unconsciousness. Last time I did, we sort of looked at the lyrics of a song, right? We wanted to see what the heck people were thinking when they were trying to form a relationship and they're picking the wrong people. Well, how do they go about doing that, right? Hang on one second. We were looking at the witch doctor, right? And we were thinking about magic words were going to open up a relationship with someone that we're in love with, or bring that person to us, or whatever. Those are novelty songs, and here's another one I've got today. That was a novelty song, but it spoke to something that is real. I keep saying, and it's been said before, that you can't even write a grocery list without revealing something about yourself. Every human communication has in it parts of self-expression that gets translated or sent over to the person who is receiving that communication. You write a grocery list, they're going to have a pretty good idea who you are, right? Anyway, communications. This one here, let me read this stuff and we'll talk about how people might think they're going to find a good relationship and how communication plays a part in it. It says here, I took my troubles down to Madame Rue. You know that gypsy with the gold-capped tooth. She's got a pad down on 34th and Vine, selling little bottles of Love Potion number 9. A lot of people I talk to will go on the internet and try these dating apps and all that. They're just trying every which way to find a connection with somebody, and so they can have a fulfilled life, right? So sometimes they're willing to try anything. Next one goes here. It says, I told her that I was a flop with chicks. I'd been this way since 1956. She looked at my palm and she made a magic sign. She said, what you need is Love Potion number 9. The gypsy looks at his palm and makes a magic sign. It's like we're thinking there's some sort of communication above and beyond that we can use to our benefit. Now, this is sort of, I don't want to get into an argument or anything, but this has to do with a very basic belief in religion. We believe in things outside of what we can see and hear. And, you know, by the way, I just throw this out as a side note. But people ask me sometimes, they say, do you believe in God? And I say, yes, I do. And they say to me, well, prove the existence of God. And I always tell them, I say, I can't prove to you the existence of God, but I know someone who can. And they say, who's that? I say, you. I say, don't take my word for it. Don't take a book's word for it. Don't listen to ministers, the preachers, the priests, or whatever. I said, try it for yourself. Look into it. Test it, right? Just make some sort of request and say, show me a sign, and see if you get that sign, right? It's been said, it's popped up in literature and movie and all stories and everything, where people say to God, show me a sign that you're there, right? That's basically what I tell people to do. Don't take anyone else's word for it. You don't need to listen to a minister or a priest. Just speak directly to God and say, show me a sign that you're there, right? Anyway, So all this stuff we're talking about, the communication and so forth and so on, there's a lot of basis in a belief in something that we can't see. All right. Anyway, okay, the gypsy. Don't you like that vision, Madame Moreau, gypsy with the gold-capped tooth, right? Give you an image. She makes a magic sign. We believe in mysticism or something beyond what we can see. Anyway, the bridge goes, she bent down and turned around and gave me a wink, right? She said, I'm going to make it up right here in the sink. It smelled like turpentine. It looked like India ink. I held my nose. I closed my eyes. I took a drink, right? You know, imagine someone mixing up a concoction that smells terrible and tastes terrible, but they tell you to suck it down. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to have some good result. And we trust that person, and so we try it, right? Well, that's the way with a lot of things in life. We try things and see if we get any result from it. Then we assimilate that knowledge, that experience, whatever the result was, and we move on from there with this new idea in our head. It may be just a connection of ideas we had previously, but they triangulate into new thoughts, and that's how wisdom is created, or rather thinking ideas in the head are created. They keep connecting to ideas that came before. All right, goes down here. It says, I didn't know if it was day or night. I started kissing everything in sight. But when I kissed the cop down on 34th and Vine, he broke my little bottle of Love Potion number 9. Let's go ahead and check this out for 1 second. It says, I didn't know if it was day or night. I started kissing everything in sight. All right. Imagine a woman mixing up some sort of a concoction. It's late at night, early in the morning. Let's say she's in a bar someplace, and she mixes it up and hands it to you, and you suck it down, and all of a sudden you start kissing everybody in sight. Doesn't that sound like, you know, a barroom scene where people are looking for love in all the wrong places, and they have to convince themselves that there's something good out there, so they alter their thinking, they alter their perception, and then they go out and they project what they want onto someone and decide that this is the gorilla of my dreams. Yeah, Rocky and Bullwinkle. Gorilla of my dreams. Anyway, that's kind of what it's like. We get drunk late at night in a bar and we decide that there's somebody out there that, you know, is just made for us and etc. Of course, the alcohol wears off, right? And we wake up the next morning, we apologize profusely, and then we get the heck out of there, right? So imagine that thought, is that we're looking for something. We have to alter our thinking in order to project it so that we can think that we found what we were looking for. There used to be a line drawing floating around. I don't know where it is or where it came from. It was just a line drawn, piece of paper with a line on it, of this beautiful young lady. She looked like she was anywhere between 18 and 20, right? Old enough to be legal, but really young, right? And you look at that and you say, wow, that's a beautiful girl, this, that, and the other thing. But if you took that line drawing and turned it upside down, what you get was an old crone, a very ugly old crone, right? Sort of sounded like Madame Rue, the gypsy with the gold-capped tooth. It kind of looks like that when you turn it upside down. That's kind of what we do when we're projecting out into the world. We are seeing what we want to see until we come back to reality at some other point. Now, is that partner for you out there? I think so. I really do. People tell me they don't believe in love at first sight, but I happen to believe in it. I think there's a communication going. And I'm not certain that we should make relationships with people when we're kissing everything in sight. And it takes a cop to break the bottle of Love Potion number 9 to straighten us out. I think the cop in a lot of scenarios having to do with relationships, that cop has to be time, you know. After 5 years, we really see the reality of the situation and we realize what we've done, right? We projected something onto a person because we needed that relationship so badly. We were willing to manufacture it in our minds, put that idea out into the world, and then see what we wanted to see in order to gain what we think we want to gain. That's why there's so many divorces, which I said last time, right? The cause of divorce is marriage, but it's not just marriage, it's a marriage to the wrong person. I've said this before, I'll say it again. He's a good guy, she's a wonderful lady, but they just don't work together. That's all there is to it. It's not that they're bad, but they don't gel. They don't have the same connection and desires and golden dreams and all that. And so we want to make certain that we connect with someone that we can go the distance with, someone who can stay with us our entire lives. And by that, I mean someone who we want to stay with for our entire lives. That's the idea. We don't want to be confused by faulty communication and love potions number 9 or something they mixed up at a bar, right? We don't want to be confused by that. We want to see things clearly. And some people say to me, is it better to be alone than be in a bad relationship? Personally, I believe so. Now, not always. Everything's on a case-by-case basis. I hope you realize that when I speak. Everything depends on the people involved in it, circumstances, and et cetera, et cetera. It's not just 100% always this or always that, right? Always depends on what's going on in a person's life, what they're looking for, and what they're seeking, and what's available to them. So the question I was thinking, people ask me, they say, is it better to be alone? Or is it better to be in a relationship with no love? I think oftentimes it's better to be alone, because many times with the divorce rate so high, we end up that way anyway. We end up alone anyway. So maybe we shouldn't get involved in a relationship in which is going to produce children that we don't, that the couple together doesn't want to raise together. And relationships that we turn out hating each other after 5 years. Maybe it's better to just wait for that person who's right. And if we never find that person who's right and spend our lives alone, maybe it's better that way, in the sense that we decrease the surplus population, in the sense that we don't produce children that we don't want, right? As a culture, as a society, as a couple. Now, oftentimes I hear people say, well, it was a bad relationship, but at least it gave me my kids and I love them, and then all that kind of stuff. Well, that's great, but a lot of folks are choosing to have children without marriage. They are sidestepping all the legal complications and entanglements, all the financial disasters coming up, and they're just having those kids that they want without all of that other people interfering in the relationship. So it's just a lot of questions, right? Do we want a love potion number 9 to see things unclearly? Do we want to go to the witch doctor or the shaman or the priest or something and say some magic words and get the person to appear in our lives? Do we want to see things that aren't there, project things that aren't there? All this stuff, it swirls around, but I swear to you, it's all connected, right? There's some really profound ideas when we take the time to stop and think about them and rationalize them all out, dissect them, pull the parts out. And it's all about human beings and our behavior and the dreams and things we want. And another thing, which will take up some other time, is why do we want the things that we think we want? We think we want a relationship and a family and children. Is that true? I hope it is. But maybe it's not right for everybody. I don't know. Just questions. What do you folks think about all this? Do you think there's a universal unconsciousness? Some people have told me that there is a thing called the Akashic Records, right? Where all the information, all the experience of the universe of all time, all of that is stored. And that's kind of what Carl Jung was referring to when he said there was a universal unconsciousness stored somewhere. It's kind of what computer people do when they put things in the cloud. Everything that ever happened is available. It's up there in the ether somewhere. Stop and think about all this stuff, especially when we are starting to move into the age of artificial intelligence, and start rethinking about what's going to be good for ourselves and for our community and for our planet and for our cultures and our countries and etc. And it all starts with relationship. We can't write a grocery list without revealing something of ourselves. So check out your grocery list sometime and see what it's telling you about yourself. Is there anything you need to change? And then do the same thing with everything else in your life, your relationships, your job, where you live, your activities, etc. And see if things are the right thing for you, right? We don't want to have a love potion number 9 or a libation from the bar to confuse the reality of what's good for us, right? Confuse our thinking and let us think that something is good that isn't going to turn out to be good. The line drawing of the girl turns into a crone later on. Anyway, just a lot of thoughts all mixed together. I hope some of you will think about it and give me a suggestion. Send me an email with your thoughts and feelings about some of this stuff, about relationships and communication. Email address is counselorscouch101@mail.com, just mail.com. All right. I thank you for stopping by, and I look forward to talking with you next time. Have a blessed day.